Hey everyone, welcome back to the Widowed Parent Podcast Live. I'm here today with Katie Wilberding Cross of Judy's House. Katie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Jenny. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here. And of course, I talked with a couple of folks from Judy's House maybe a year ago, a while ago. You guys are doing terrific research on your research side of the house on the children's childhood bereavement estimation model. Very important work. Today, though, we're going to talk about your programs.
Awesome. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So, because I think you guys are doing some really great work, and I want to make sure that people who are near you know about the resources that you have. So, first of all, where are you located?
We are located in Denver, Colorado, but we also have some virtual education-based workshops that are available to anyone right now.
Ah, okay. All right. So, as we record, it's November 2020. It's Children's Grief Awareness Month. I had to check the
Uh-huh.
date here. One day blends into the next.
Sure
But
does.
it is still the pandemic, so many things are different. So I'd like to talk about both what you do in normal times, because presumably we'll get back to that someday, and then also what you guys have going on right now. So since you mentioned workshops, let's start with that. What kind of workshops do you have that we should know about?
Great. Yeah. So right now, we have some virtual workshops that we are offering. I think the one that is most applicable to your audience, Jenny, is our parent, guardian, adult caregiver workshops. And those are virtual. And what they really are is it's just information for grieving parents, guardians, in order to really support their grieving kids.
Mm,
So they're education based and for anyone who wants to sign up. So those are for, again, throughout the country, throughout the world, who's interested in getting that information to support kids.
oh,
Yeah.
so you don't have to be in the Denver area for these particular workshops. You could be
No.
anywhere where the time zone works for you.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, good.
We've started doing those virtually since the pandemic, and have gotten, people from all over the US, and we've had a few international folks attend as well, which has been
Oh,
really,
good.
really great that we're able to extend our reach beyond
Yeah.
Denver.
Well,
Yeah.
good. So maybe when we get off here, I can get the schedule from you and I can help share that out to listeners,
Great.
because sounds like a terrific resource. Good. Okay. So let's talk about some of your regular programming, pre-pandemic, and maybe eventually someday. What kind
Post
of?
pandemic.
Yes, exactly. Who knows when that'll be, but it will be here. I'm sure of that. So, what
Yep.
kind of programs do you have for families?
Yeah. So the primary service that we provide to grieving families are our peer-based grief groups. And so we offer groups and services, grief support services to kids ages 3 to 25 and their
Hmm.
adult caregivers.
Okay.
And we offer services in English and in Spanish.
Hmm.
And so our groups are led by grief counselors employed at Judy's House, and we have a great trainee program as well. We offer these grief groups at Judy's House in Denver, and then we also provide these grief groups in schools and community organizations as well,
Hmm.
to really be able to reach grieving kids, whether they can get to Judy's House or not. We also offer individual, family, couples, play therapy for grieving kids and families as well.
Ah, okay. All right. So there's the groups, and you said that's ages 3 through 25. So little
Mhm.
kids, teenagers, young adults, and then
Yep,
also separate groups for their parents
yep,
or
yep,
adult caregivers.
yep,
Okay, terrific. And then separately from all that, you have the individual counseling, grief
yep,
counseling as well.
yep. And our peer-based groups are, I think, really amazing because a family all comes together to Judy's house, and then we're able to be intentional about how we're grouping families and kids and really creating opportunities for connection, which we know promotes healing in their grief as well. And so the whole family is essentially talking about similar topics and coping strategies and things like that, and then be able to leave Judy's house after the group and continue those conversations to really wrap around each other in their grief.
Ah, okay. So they were separated by age in the programming, but there's some like a tie-in across the themes or the
Yep,
topics so that they
yep,
can. Yeah, that's neat.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Uh, and how do you like? Are there criteria as far as types of loss or length of time since loss or anything like that? How does that work?
Yeah. So we support families grieving the death of a significant person. And so we don't define that it has to be a family member or what that relationship, we don't define that. There's no time limitations with regards to how long ago, like, for example, it could be, we've had families come to Judy's house where it's been, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. If the grief is coming up for that family, for that child, Judy's house can try to offer support. We also, before families engage in potentially our groups or our individual, or sometimes there might be a community referral that would be a better fit for what that family needs. And we have amazing grief care coordinators who help connect families with those resources as well. But we provide an assessment, or what sometimes we call an interview, before those services are provided, just to really get to know this individual family member's experience, to really find the best fit for what they need. So really trying to do what we call comprehensive grief care. So really trying to meet each individual family and family member and where they're at in their journey to really figure out what the best support would be for them.
Terrific. Yeah. Okay. And forgive me if you already mentioned this, what about any sort of cost to participate in your programs?
Everything that Judy's house does is free by due to the generous support of our donors and amazing folks that support us throughout our community. So there's no cost to families. We don't bill insurance or anything like that. So really, again, trying to break down barriers to provide this type of support.
Terrific. Okay, that's great news.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your programming when we don't have a pandemic. Are you guys able to provide some support right now during these challenging times?
Absolutely. We are definitely still encouraging families to reach out. Judy's house is still supporting families in some different ways. Of course, everybody's constantly adapting to this pandemic environment, and as we are at Judy's house as well. And so we actually were able to provide some groups this summer. They were outdoor, they were very safety conscious, but really to provide that connection and healing in their grief. We don't have any groups happening in this current moment, but again, that is constantly being reevaluated. We are still, families can call and again, talk to our grief care coordinators and engage with our process and kind of see where things are at. We have been able to provide virtual or telephone-based therapeutic support to grieving kids and families. We are also offering school-based educational workshops to really wrap around the systems that are supporting and engaging and touching grieving kids and families. I mentioned the caregiver workshops or the parent guardian workshops that we're offering virtually as well. Trying to get creative and really continue to support our community and the grief-related needs of those families.
Terrific. Okay, so if anybody is in the Denver area and is in need of some grief support right now, they should definitely reach out.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
and it sounds like, I mean, the individual and family counseling you guys are doing is terrific.
Yeah.
And it's nice that you can do that, virtually.
Yeah, being able to continue to support those families and trying to constantly adapt to the nature of the pandemic. So folks can definitely still reach out, and we have amazing folks who will help them navigate our process.
Yeah, good. Okay, good. So let me ask you more of a big picture question now, then, as kind of a wrap up. I wonder if you could share some thoughts on how programs like yours can be helpful for grieving kids and grieving families.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that kids and families who have experienced death loss of a significant person really benefit and feel a lot of comfort and healing in having a safe space to express what's going on for them, a space that is inclusive and that can really create a lot of openness in where they're at and what they're thinking and feeling and what's going on for them. And I think that through Judy's house, no matter whether it's in person or virtually, that really creating that space for kids can really provide that customized, individualized support for them to continue processing what that death has meant in order to really promote healing and integrating that into their lives to continue, living healthy, long futures.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
good. So important. And I mean, I'll throw out again that 1 in 14
Mhm.
statistic comes from your organization's research. The 1 in 14 kids by the time they turn 18 will experience the death of a parent or a sibling. That's a huge number.
It's a huge number. And in my role, I work with a lot of schools to promote, this information and education around best supporting grieving kids because we know it happens to so many youth in our communities. And so to be able to increase these conversations and to increase, people's awareness that this happens for a lot of kids, we just don't have a lot of spaces where they can express that or talk about that. And so as adults or peers of these kids to create opportunities for them to know that they're not alone and that there are people who are there to support them and for them to talk to and to really get, just the connection and healing in what they're going through. Because we know that when all of these systems wrap around grieving kids and families, the outcomes will be significantly better for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, so for people who are interested in your workshops or for people who are in the Denver area interested in finding out about your counseling or eventually when you get back to your regular in-person groups, where can people find
Yeah.
Judy's house?
I would say the best way to find out what's going on is to go to our website. And so that's judishouse.org, and it's Judi with an I. So it's JUDISHOUSE.org. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Folks can find us on all those different social media platforms. But I think our website has also some really great handouts and some other resources, a lot of different kinds of home-based grief activities. There's some great parent guardian videos. There's some really great stuff on our website. And again, in English and in Spanish. So really
Hmm.
hoping to support, all families who need that kind of information and support.
Yeah. And the other thing that's on your website for people who are interested in numbers is
Yeah.
all that research on the childhood bereavement estimation model,
Yeah.
including the 1 in 14 number is a nationwide
Yep.
number, but you guys have by state, if people are
We
interested in
do.
looking up their own state and the numbers
Mhm.
there.
It's
Uh,
it's really good. I love it's definitely one of those places you could go down, and I love to get in there and dig into what are the different communities that maybe I'm connected with personally to see what's going on and to see what those numbers look like and to really better understand, you know, childhood bereavement in those areas and to try to advocate for resources and support. I think it's an empowering tool.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Mhm.
terrific. Well, Katie, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah.